Just stopping by to say I really appreciate everybody taking their time out to watch my videos. Likes and shares go a long way, and I'm on the road right now to 100 subscribers. So if you could leave a like, comment, or share, maybe get somebody else involved so that way they can check out my content and see if they like it. I appreciate it. Let's hop right into it. What it do, Jazzy Scions? Today we're going to be talking about my favorite segment called Let Me Cook. I'm going to take various commanders and I'm going to show you different pathways as far as like their builds and whatnot that are still effective and efficient. So let me cook. Today I have the honor of presenting Tetsuo, Imperial Champion. He is a 3-cost Grixis 3/3 that says when he attacks while being equipped, choose one. The first one allows you to deal damage equal to the highest equipment's mana value to any target. The second option allows you to cast instants and sorceries from your hand with mana value less than or equal to the equipment without paying its mana cost. On the surface, this looks like a really good equipment stack. You can just throw all the swords in here and just go to town. But let me cook. Let's get right into our card advantage section. I want to play on curve, keeping in mind the actions I take before my commander enters the battlefield and after my commander enters the battlefield. So initially I want to utilize cantrips like brainstorm and ponder effects to get things moving. As I start to get set up, I want to incorporate things that give me more upsides like Seas of Spoils, because who doesn't need treasures at some point, and Mask of Schemers for the ability to pump my commander, draw cards, and cast spells that are 3 or less from my hand. My favorite card within this category would be Molten Psyche. It's a 3-cost sorcery that says each player shuffles the cards from their hand into the library and then draws that many cards. But then it has a Metalcraft trigger that says if you control 3 or more artifacts, Molten Psyche deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of cards that player has drawn this turn. Let me cook. And now we're moving on to our ramp package. We have access to mana rocks to start us off, and then rituals as well for more explosive turns. But the gems that I have in here include cards like Descent into Avernus. It's a 3-cost enchantment that says at the beginning of your upkeep, put 2 descent counters onto Descent into Avernus. Then each player creates X treasure tokens, and Descent into Avernus deals X damage to each player, where X is the number of descent counters on this card. As well as Rousing Refrain. It's a 3-cost sorcery that says add red mana for each card in target opponent's hand. Until end of turn you don't lose this mana as steps and phases end. Exile Rousing Refrain with 3 time counters on it. Because what's better than a ritual? A ritual that comes back every 3 turns. One of my favorite cards within this category though definitely goes to Reaver Cleaver. Reaver Cleaver is a 3-cost legendary artifact equipment that says equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, create that many treasures. Let me cook. Alright Scions, settle down. Here's the pitch. Obas the Prey Piercer is our companion. They are a 5-cost 3/5 that states that your starting deck contains only cards with odd converted mana cost. If a source you control with an odd converted mana cost would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage to that permanent player instead. And I'm very aware that Obas does require a lot of restrictions, as well as the stipulation about attacking with my commander, but keep in mind, restriction does not exactly equal weak. Oftentimes it means refined, which allows for more efficiency. When you start thinking about some of the cards I had mentioned earlier, like Molten Psyche and Descent into Avernus, this becomes a little bit more funny. I'm hoping that the deck is more group slug oriented, so you're not pushing one person in particular out, but that you'll just chomp down everybody's life total every turn. This is my slug category, which is just a list of cards that will deal damage to everybody over the turns. And I would definitely include cards that copy instants and sorceries like Double Vision. In the beginning, we want to be using cards like Gutter Snipe and Fiery Inscription to start beating down people's life totals. And then towards the middle of the game, we can start casting things like Breath of Malfigar, which is a 5-cost instant that says it deals 5 damage to each opponent. And then cards like Spiteful Repercussions. It's a 5-cost sorcery that says Spiteful Repercussion deals damage to each opponent who controls more lands than you, equal to the difference. They create a number of treasure tokens equal to the damage dealt this way. The really cool thing about those cards that I mentioned earlier is the fact that you can free cast them as long as you have the right equipment attached to your commander. So that ability that Malfigar offers to deal 5 damage to each opponent, that's what they take right off the rip from you not even dealing combat damage. Let me set the scene for you. So you already have Tetsuo on the battlefield. Keep in mind you already cast Obosh as well, and you have Hexplate Wallbreaker attached to it. During the attack, you cast Savage Beating. This will net you 2 additional combat steps, and if you cast Chandra's Ignition as well as Sizzle, you will effectively do 56 damage, 30 of that being dealt during combat, and 26 of that being dealt to everybody's face. That playstyle is something that I really enjoy. So I hope you guys really like this type of content. If you guys have any comments or questions, feel free to ask down below. I'll be posting the deck list on my Moxfield at some point. Make sure to be following me over there. I'll have the link down in the description. Let me know down below too if you guys have any suggestions for decks going forward. Appreciate your time. Take care, Scions.